Alright, so I got the phone and the little device that I showed you, and I think it's working pretty well. So, what I'm going to show you how to make today is the puppet stage. And this is a really raw, really cheap way to make one. Um, if you have any scrap wood laying around, you can easily make something like this. Luckily, I do. So I knocked this out in probably less than an hour. Um, this is going to be something that you're definitely going to want to have if you're going to be animating stop motion. Um, Basically, you're going to decide, the first thing is the size that you want to work with. The great thing about animating is that you can do it in sections. Now, to keep stuff like this portable, you don't want to make it ridiculously big because it looks great and it's cool, but remember that you need to be able to bring things in and out all the time. You want to keep it just very simple, either like black or white, and then be able to add and remove from it constantly, because things like this, working at a smaller scale, you're going to be constantly changing the terrain and building dioramas and scenery all the time, so don't get too technical, because later on you're probably going to have to deconstruct it anyway. I have a whole shelf over there of stuff that I have built, and you know, I could show it to you in another video, but I used to basically make these stages, and I regretted how I used to tackle them, because I would literally attach things to it on this giant scale and then not be able to remove it without completely destroying and ripping it apart. So now I keep it very basic, very simple, and I'll show you what I did here. So I got some 2x4, alright, and I decided on my size. My size, I realized I wanted to be about the length of this, which I think is 24 inches 2 feet. And I went a little over, as you can see. I was going to do it 24 by 24. I think I ended up doing 26. So this is 24. Actually, it's 27. That's what I did. I did 27 by 27. So once I knew that the dimensions were going to be 27 by 27, I just took the 2x4 here, alright, and I measured it. So like this one over here, I knew that I needed it that long. I grabbed a pencil, I marked it right there, got my line, and then I'll turn you real quick, and I have circular saw over here, and then with the circular saw basically on the line, came down, and I cut it to the length that I wanted. I'm not going to cut it right now because I might actually want this wood for something else later. But that's what I did. Then after that, I basically finished it off by painting it and put another strip in the middle by screwing it in. I can show you closer. Here. And here. So once I was finished with that, I just left it as it was, about this high, and I had seen that what a lot of people do is they raise it up a bit. So you can see that I have about another, I think this is 8 inches. Let's double check. Yep, this is another 8 inches. So it's a total of 10 inches off the ground, which is, you know, not too bad. The reason that you need it off the ground like this, I'll get to in a minute, but you want to have it basically enough space that you can reach under here easily, and you don't want it to be too tight. The reason that you got to reach under there, that I told you I was just going to tell you, was because you're going to need to drill holes all over the table. So to do that, again, I grabbed the ruler with a pencil. I drew lines all the way across and then made a grid. I went the other way. And then with a drill, took the drill and then went straight across both ways. I left the spot in the middle with no holes. I think that I'm probably going to go back and put holes because there's too big of a gap, and I have no way of tying down the models if I want them to walk across, which is what the holes are for, and I'll get to that now. So when you are using puppets and armatures on the stage, the whole point of the holes is so you have something to anchor their feet into. Now, in a professional setting, basically, you wouldn't see all these holes. They have different tricks and things, and they can lay mesh over it, and my, use for this is just to get better at it, to have practice animating, stuff like that. What I'm going to do in my next video, to give you an idea, is I'm going to just take a normal toy like this. Most of them that I have some type of hole in their foot, like this. And then I'm going to take some threaded rod that's long enough so I could screw it into his foot. I'm not damaging the toy. And then I'm just going to anchor it into here. Now for extra stability, if you want, what you can do is you can take a hex nut, which I have a whole bunch of, like that, and then you can reach underneath, and this is why you need space. And you could screw it nice and tight to the top of the rod, so his one foot is now planted to the stage. And when you're animating a walk, it's absolutely necessary to do something like this, because you want to be able to have the model lift his foot up off the ground like that. Because if you couldn't, and I'll move you closer so you can see, if you didn't move his foot off the ground while walking, he basically would just be dragging his feet, and that just doesn't look good. Okay, and that, like I said, is why you want this space underneath. Anyway, getting back to the actual stage itself, I took more 2x4 and I gave myself 8 inches, cut it, and then took these hinges. Now, I could have done way more technical things here, but I happen to have a whole bunch of these, and I'm sure they look familiar if you've seen if you've seen the video on the armature making. But because I had a whole bunch of them, I just took them, screwed them in on this side, and on the opposite side I also have them screwed in. So I used them. I had 8, screwed them in, and then that was it. I haven't painted the legs. I don't know if I'm going to paint the legs. It really doesn't matter because I might just end up getting some fabric and then draping it over. And that's really it. There's other things for the stage that I have. Background plates to break the lighting. Like I said, lighting is very important. And that's just more wood that I've pretty much cut. And I'll show you those. All this is some wood that I spray painted. I've obviously used it a bunch, as you can see. And what I'll do is I'll just take a piece of wood, small piece of wood, like this, stick it to the back, and then with some duct tape, I'll just wrap it this way and that way and this way and that way until it's sturdy and so it doesn't fall over. So that'll stay there. I didn't paint the front of this because I usually put some type of scenery in front of it, like a couch or something. There's dollhouse parts that I have. You know, like I have a whole box of dollhouse parts here. So like maybe I want Batman to sit in this chair. I'll usually just throw the chair right there. You know, and maybe you know, he'll look over here and he'll be like, oh, it's a nice chair over there. And I'll animate him walking over to that chair and taking a seat. Like I said, it's not that big of a deal, that tape, to me. And then for this one, same thing. I just painted it, threw some wood back there, and for this one I actually did paint over the tape, even though it doesn't look great. I'll usually throw it here, or maybe actually I'll catch it on an angle just to block off some of the extra light that I see. And I have lots of walls. I have another one over here. So now I have like a little confined space to animate him. And I could throw in lots of props and other characters. And that's it. So, nothing fancy. Just some scrap wood. And that's how you get yourself a little wooden stage. Give you an up close shot. All the holes that I drilled. I didn't try and make this professional. It was really thrown together quickly. I could still shave off edges if I need to. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching.